the need for the services continued to grow because patients were stressed out and having emotional consequences from this deadly pandemic. So the need for services continued to grow. And after figuring out the logistic of how to provide services while maintaining the infection control, we were able to expand and expand. And the expansion continues now. And I feel this year we will have more expansion than any previous year.
Paging Dr. Cook. Paging Dr. Cook. Dr. Cook, you're wanted in the OR. Dr. Cook, you're wanted in the OR.
Welcome to the Prescription for Success podcast with your host, Dr. Randy Cook.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Prescription for Success podcast, which is a production of MD Coaches, a company dedicated to developing and empowering physicians and other healthcare professionals to realize a greater potential and to achieve a greater level of satisfaction in their chosen fields. You can find MD Coaches on the web at mymdcoaches.com. And before we get into our interview, I've got a quick word for you from Doc to Doc Lending. This is a company that believes debt should be avoided where possible, but they also understand that sometimes borrowing is necessary to help doctors manage short-term cash issues and improve long-term personal financial health. Founded and led by fellow doctors, all of whom started out as cash-strapped residents, Doc to Doc Lending exists not only to meet doctors in their moments of need, but to do so in a way that assesses and appreciates each doctor-borrower as only fellow physicians can. Apply for the loan you need with Doc to Doc Lending at drpodcastnetwork.com/doc2doc. That's drpodcastnetwork.com/DOC2DOC. Well, my interview guest today started his career as a geriatric and addiction psychiatrist in Central Florida. And then he went on to become triple board certified as a psychotherapist and ultimately founded a novel method of healthcare delivery to long-term care facilities, which is now shaping a completely new approach to mental health management. Balanced Wellbeing LLC serves over 400 patients at 160 facilities daily in Central Florida. So, let's hear the story from Dr. Pari Deshmukh. And I am speaking today with Dr. Pari Deshmukh, who's down in Central Florida in the Ocala area. Dr. Desh, it's very nice to have you with us today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Randy. Thank you for giving the opportunity.
Well, it really is a pleasure and an honor for us to be able to do that, and I'm really excited about the conversation. I have spoken to quite a number of physicians in different specialties since we inaugurated Prescription for Success. You're the first psychiatrist to be on the show, so I'm pretty excited about that. And in addition to that, you are an expert in an area of psychiatric medicine that's rather new. So I'm really looking forward to the conversation. But as is always the case, Pari, I want to start at the beginning. I want to find out how you got your start. So how old were you and where were you when you first began to get interested in medicine?
I don't exactly recall how old I was, but right from the childhood, I've had a deep respect for the medicine profession. It is noble profession, helping others, having a respected position in the society, making difference in others' lives. All those aspects attracted me, and I decided that I would like to go into medicine.
Did you have medical professionals in your family or mentors that you were influenced by in that realm?
Yes, actually, My father is very well connected with the medical community in my city. I grew up in central India, and he was very well connected. I was always talking to his friends who were doctors in various fields. One of his friends, and actually he is a close friend, is a psychiatrist, and he did a phenomenal work in the town to help the psychiatric patients. And he was one of the motivational factors for me to become doctor and become doctor in psychiatry. So yes, various doctors have influenced me over the time, but it's specifically the close friends of my father have influenced me more than
So you
others.
had an interest at a very young age, and when did you actually make the decision that you were going to go to medical school?
I think when I was like 8, 9 year old, I made that decision.
That's an early start.
Yeah, yeah, did not change my mind since then, and even today I'm happy with my decision.
And tell us about medical school. It's a little different. The structure of medical education is in India obviously is different than it is in the U.S. But what was that like for you? Did you find it daunting and very difficult, or was it a lot of fun? What were your feelings?
So to get into medical school in India is not easy. A lot of competition. I think we had around 100,000 applicants, and they had to select like first 3,000 to qualify. So a lot of competition was
That is a
there.
lot of competition.
Yeah, and that competition is because the doctors are so well respected, and the profession is so noble that everyone wants to get into that. But after I cleared that, it was all fun actually in the medical school. Initially, there was some nervousness in initial few months, and then I found my friend circle, and then I felt very well adjusted, and we had a great group there. And actually, the medical school was not too large, not too small, so it was just perfect size for me to develop. And there were a lot of emphasis on extracurricular activities and development in that aspect as well. So a lot of fun with the medical school. There was a lot of competitive drive in medical school also, which helped me further in pursuing the dream, becoming a hard worker, becoming persistent in my efforts. So good foundation for further life.
Yeah. And did you know at the very beginning when you began medical school, did you know that you were leaning toward mental health or psychiatry, or did that come
No,
later?
actually not. Every month I would change my mind and will decide what to do. And it was always confusing. Sometimes I would like to get into surgical field, and sometimes I would like to get into medical field. And then in my internship, which we have to do after finishing med school for 1 year, we have to rotate through various departments. And I had a 15-day rotation in psychiatry. And in first day, I realized that this is the field I should go into.
Well, that's a pretty early decision. And so at that point, what kind of plans did you have to make to prepare yourself for a psychiatrist? Yeah, it looks to me like as I look at your CV, you actually did a psychiatric residency here in the U.S., but did you do any psychiatric training while you're in India as well?
No, so when I went to the internship 15-day rotation, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I had no further doubts that what I wanted to do. Now the question was where to pursue the best psychiatric education. And India has a great psychiatric education, and abroad also had various good psychiatric institutions. I realized that I should get into United States with the amount of development they have in psychiatry. I realized that that would be the ideal place for me to get the training. And at that time, I was not even sure if after finishing my training, whether I'll be practicing in India, whether I'll practice in the United States or some other country. But I was not really into that. I was into getting into the best possible institution for psychiatry training. And that's why I applied to all the university programs in United States. There were community hospitals also, but my goal was to get into university, highly reputed, high standards of education, and that's why I chose Case Western Reserve, which has a very unique and high reputation in psychiatry training. So the idea was to get into the best educational institute so that I can equip myself with the best possible training.
Well, it sounds like you made a really good pick. Case Western is obviously very well respected, and I'm interested to know once you got there, did you feel like you were in exactly the right place? Did you feel like this is the place where you could make your dreams reality? Was there ever any doubt? What was that residency experience like for you?
No, I never had a doubt. When I did an interview there, I had a gut feeling that this is a great program for me, and I ranked it very high, and I got matched over there. And after going there, I had some nervousness again because I was going through cultural shock and going learning various new things, and I had that nervousness with me. But overall, then I realized that how welcoming and how accommodative the residency teachers and colleagues are. And then I became more and more comfortable month by month, year by year. I realized that I have made a right decision. And actually, when I look back now, I feel that was a really great program for me because it emphasized not only on the medication management aspects in psychiatry, but also the psychotherapy, psychological aspects that I feel has trained me very well on both sides. And my passion has always been connecting to people heart to heart, trying to make a difference. And I feel I made a right choice.
And I'm really curious, and I want to get into, if you don't mind, you mentioned the phenomenon of culture shock. I'm frankly amazed that people such as yourself come to this country or go to any country where they're not native. They're dropped down into a culture that's entirely different, and yet they not only survive, they thrive. And I have a great deal of respect for that. So, if you would tell us a little bit about some of the challenges and the way you met the challenges of being in a strange new land, if you will.
Sure. So actually, I was in a school which was not an English medium school when I was growing up. So my English has not been my strength all along. That was one big factor actually when I came
Yeah, I
in.
bet.
I was not sure if I am saying things in an appropriate way that is acceptable to this culture. And then the second thing was accent. I came up with a thick accent, and uh, at that time, I felt as if my self esteem was tied to that. I felt
Mm-hmm.
I was not speaking the way I should be, and I was trying to minimize the accent. And then, in addition to that, coming from a country which is a developing country to a developed country, there is some sense of lack of confidence. And it may not be generalizable, but for me it was. I felt I am somehow less than others, and I had to prove myself. And those aspects can be stressful and can be demotivating. But then eventually I realized that I have some strength in me that are unparalleled coming from the place I was in. I had gathered some strength that I feel I should focus on and enhance on them and just let it be. And then I realized that how great this country is, which appreciates and accepts the outsiders who are trying their best And truly, this is a land of opportunity because I never had any dearth of any opportunity. I wanted to do what, and I was able to do that. Um, so that cultural shock was initially about learning the language, learning the ways of living, even the humor. Actually, I was not sure if I was making right jokes or not, but I wanted to be funny and I wanted to be well mixed with my peer group. So it was interesting, and at times I felt like I was not fitting in until I realized that really doesn't matter. I need to be what I am and let it be. And I realized that the kindness of the people over here that they accept things as they are and they appreciate.
Well, I have to tell you that I have a great respect for anybody that I ever meet who speaks with a foreign accent because I know immediately that they speak at least one more language than I do. And to be able to assimilate in a completely different culture like that and learn a new language is something that I don't even know how to tell you how I respect that. So my hat is off to you. And not only did you excel in your training, but you have been a profoundly successful practitioner.
Yeah.
So
Initially, I felt that, as I said, I felt I'm less than others and I needed to prove myself. Uh, but then I realized that the things that I bring onto the table are also of extremely high value, and I kept on building on that. So initially, I was actually falling behind in my residency program to the extent that at one time I was worried whether they will continue me as the resident over there. And then by the end of the fourth year, I was honored with the best graduate of the institution of our program. So it was a journey to start from right behind the back with low confidence to bringing the true potential out and able to perform with my full potential. A lot of credit goes to the residency program directors, the colleagues, the teachers who did create a safe environment for me to grow.
well, good for them. And I'm sure with the reputation that it enjoys, Case Western Reserve does a very good job of educating their postgraduates. But I think everyone that hears this podcast is going to agree with me that the most important thing was your persistence and your motivation, and you certainly are to be congratulated for that.
Thank you.
Remember medical school? You were confident, studious, hardworking, and you learned what to expect in all manner of patient care. Then reality struck. Regulations, expenses, staff management, and administration. Is this what we signed up for? Stress on the verge of burnout, no time for family, or the reason we got into medicine. Helping people. What are the options when you're afraid you're in the wrong career? Transition? Teach? Quit? What if there was another way? MD Coaches can help. We're a team of medical professionals with a century of experience in the clinical and business sides of medicine. More importantly, MD Coaches has been where you are, stressed and trying to navigate a world school didn't prepare us for. MD Coaches is your mentor, your confidant, to help you make your practice shine, navigate administrations, and successfully lead staff and projects. Or if you're ready to transition, we can help there too. MD Coaches is doctors helping doctors. Visit our website to receive a free, no-obligation consultation. Go to mymdcoaches.com/RX. That's mymdcoaches.com/RX. Isn't it time someone else was on your side? Don't let the business of being a doctor stop you from doing what you love. That site again, mymdcoaches.com/RX. Visit us today.
Physician Outlook is a new magazine platform built for physicians and by physicians, and it's designed to showcase unique physician talents Sometimes it might be clinical talents, but mostly it's about the intersection between clinical and non-clinical talents, whether it be writing or painting or cooking, or maybe even making a political statement in front of a state and local governing body, or even at the nation's capital, and dozens of other things. It's available online and in print. It's visually stunning on all of its platforms. I promise it's really unique in terms of physician lifestyle magazines. I think you'll really enjoy it. We think it's just the thing to fill your prescription for success. And like the Prescription for Success podcast, Physician Outlook magazine amplifies the voice of any doctor who has something to say, and also uniquely engages patients who still believe in physician-led, team-based care. And Prescription for Success listeners can get $20 off an annual subscription fee by visiting rxforsuccesspodcast.com/physician outlook. Having finished your training, you're located in Central Florida right now. Did you move to Florida immediately at the conclusion of your training, or was there something else in between?
No, actually, one of my family friend lives in Central Florida, and she's from the same town as I am. And I wanted to come to Florida because I belong to Central India, where the weather is warmer, and so I wanted to resemble the weather. And she was here.
Yeah, the climate in Central Florida is a little better than Cleveland, right?
Well, for me, for many, they like snow and they like four seasons. For me, the Central Florida weather was perfect because it's just where I grew up, and I like palm trees. I like the scenes. I like the beaches. I like Orlando theme parks, and I said, let's go to Central Florida. And without any further thinking about it, I made a decision.
Did you you make that sound so simple? You make this whole thing sound so simple. And I'm amazed at how anyone survives in a profoundly different culture like this. But did you have any connections in the Ocala area, or was this a matter of sending applications in a number of places and then you just kind of take a chance on it? How did that work?
Well, as you may have realized by now, that I follow my heart and not pay too much attention to my intellect. So when I was 8-9 years old, I realized I should go to medicine. I decided that. Then in my medical school, I just felt one day I should do psychiatry, and I went into that. Then I felt one day that I would need to go into the United States, and I just made that decision. And then I realized I need to go to Central Florida. I made that decision. So just following the heart's inclination and intuition has made my life easier. And then I never regretted. I don't know, because the outcomes were right, or just because I never think about the outcome. But the main reason of Florida was, again, the weather, but also my family friend who is here. So coming to the area where they already have a social group that I can join in was an easy move for me. Otherwise, I would have to make new friends and I have to create my group. Well, it was already made for me. So I came in, I blended in, and it was an easy transition.
And were you immediately associated with a specific psychiatric facility there, or did you just open a private practice in general psychiatry? How did that work when you arrived?
Well, it's an interesting story in itself. So my family friend, her husband is a internal medicine physician in a highly successful group. He's highly successful, and he had a connection and a psychiatrist friend who was apparently looking for a psychiatrist colleague at the same time. And he was alone in his practice doing the psychiatric consultations at nursing homes and hospitals and also clinics. So he was very diverse and very creative individual. And when I met him, I realized that I have a lot of potential to grow here because he had a private group, private practice, and he offered me the option of developing in whatever interest I have. And that gave me a lot of comfort and confidence that here I can grow in what I want to. I can change my number of hours from for one subspecialty to the next, whether I want to do more nursing home, whether I want to do more hospital psychiatry or outpatient clinic psychiatry. I had that flexibility, and that again was a no-brainer for me that I had to follow my heart, and I said, let's get into it, and we will develop what I want to be because there is so much potential for the growth, and I did not have to follow the regimented protocol. I can develop my own system here.
So it sounds like you started out with the mindset of making the practice look like something that you wanted it to look like rather than try to fit into something that somebody else had built. Is that right?
That is correct.
And now you are the medical director of Balanced Wellbeing. Sounds very important. Is this an organization that you established on your own, or did you come to it and grow it? Tell us the story of Balanced Wellbeing.
Yes, so the psychiatrist I joined, he was interested in spirituality and alternative ways of living, and so he eventually decided to relocate to New Mexico and left Florida. So then I landed up having being alone what to do. But I had fortunately another physician, a cardiologist, who was like-minded and wanted to develop some integrative care, and he realized the importance of having a psychiatry attached to his practice because he realized that a lot of the heart conditions were related to the mental health. And so he offered me the opportunity to continue with him. And then I continued with him for 2 years. Unfortunately, he had a vision condition and he could not properly see, so he went on I think, short-term disability on that, and I had to start my setup myself at that time. And so my wife had a immigration status by that time, which would allow starting our own company. And so she became the owner, started the company, and employed me through that company. And basically, the work continued the same way. It's just a change in the title of the company. But at this time now, I am a medical director of the company where I had a lot more ability to decide how I want practice to be because I had no more bosses anymore. Well, the wife is boss, but other than that, no more bosses.
It's nice to be the boss, isn't
it? Yeah.
And you mentioned your wife. If you don't mind, we bring her into the conversation. Is she a physician as well, or is she in some other field?
No, she is MBA, the Master of Business Administration.
That's a great connection.
Yeah, so she was more into management of the practice, and I was more into the clinical aspect. But then I also learned a lot of management aspects myself, that life taught me.
Yeah, that's a great connection for you to have. So it sounds like Balanced Wellbeing has come a long way since its beginning. You want to tell us about that, how it has grown and how you grew it?
Yeah, so that's a great journey. We started Balanced Wellbeing in 2015. It became operational by February, March of 2016, so almost 5 years ago. And I was the only provider inside the practice. I had another psychotherapist who joined me and two medical assistants who joined me. And I had connections with the facilities, so I was doing the nursing homes and some assisted living facilities, and I think there were about 10 of them at that time. And I just started providing good service, and I wanted to make difference and help the patients and help the facilities because these facilities are heavily regulated with the various regulations, and we have to maintain a balance between providing the ideal care as well as making sure that all the federal regulations about the psychiatric medications and psychiatric parameters are being properly met. So I just started doing good service and good work, and then the word of mouth spread, and more facilities wanted my services. And I used to say no to them because I realized that it would be hard for me to maintain the same quality of care with going to multiple facilities. But then eventually I said, let's give it a try. Let's hire a mid level provider, a nurse practitioner who is specialized in psychiatry, and let's see how it goes. And the nurse practitioner joined, and I trained her, and then we used to alternate with the facilities. And I realized that this is working pretty well, and I was able to maintain the same standard of care. And now I have twice as many facilities as I can go to. And with that, I realized that I can develop protocols like this where I can train the mid level providers, ask them to follow the algorithms and protocols as I have designed, and the same standard of care and same outcomes can be maintained. So now we have over 30 providers in balanced well-being, and we have been serving over 170 facilities in Central Florida. So it has been
170 facilities.
Yes, yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah, we're serving about 450 patients every day, 450 encounters face to face, not to mention about non face to face care that we are providing. So, making a difference in the geriatric population, particularly the population who is more vulnerable to psychiatric conditions and who are not able to be of their own advocate. So that population, I feel, needs special attention. And now we know that with COVID, they are so vulnerable. It became more apparent, and the awareness has been created now that this population can be easily vulnerable.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. As I was looking over your CV, it actually indicated that you had 160 facilities. 160. Now you say now you have 170. And what
Yeah, I
that
sent
means
you
is
CV, I think, 1 month ago, right?
yeah, and what that means is that even in the environment of a deadly pandemic, you've continued to grow this thing. It continues to get bigger. That's quite incredible.
Well, actually, in pandemic, everything was bad, but some good things happened. And good things is awareness about the mental health enhanced. The telehealth, the telemedicine field really blossomed. So the need for the services continued to grow because patients were stressed out and having emotional consequences from this deadly pandemic. So the need for services continued to grow. And after figuring out the logistic of how to provide services while maintaining the infection control, we were able to expand and expand. And the expansion continues now. And I feel this year we will have more expansion than any previous year.
Well, it sounds like whatever you're doing is definitely working. And I have a little bit of a strange question. I hope you won't think it's strange, but I'm wondering, in conjunction with dealing with the individuals who were in these facilities that you're talking about, are they primarily inpatient?
These are nursing homes and assisted
Nursing homes.
living.
Right. Okay.
I used to do hospital consultations and some outpatient clinic work, but the more busier I got with the nursing homes, assisted living, I
Right.
kind of started withdrawing myself from that. So these are the patients, the residents who are living in the facilities.
Right. So my question is, and maybe it's different in Florida, but in the area where I live, there has been no family visitation in the nursing homes since the onset of the pandemic. It's been hard on the patients in the facilities. It's been hard on their families, and I'm wondering if you have been involved in the support of these families at all? Or is there a way for you to?
Sure. Actually, it was not only the restricted visitations to families, but to physicians and to the other healthcare givers also. At one time, they were not allowing us to come inside the facility for the legit reasons that they felt we can bring the infection inside. But then eventually they figured out that we can get weekly tested, we can follow this infection protocol, and now with the vaccine, our visitations have grown. Although still many places are still restricting familial visitation. Now we have to understand that these residents, when they come to the nursing homes and assisted living, they have already gone through a major life transition. They may have
Absolutely.
been successful electrician, successful doctor, successful carpenter, and now they are stuck in a facility dependent on others, not able to pursue their hobbies, interests, and their outgoing activities as much, and have limited connection contact with their family member as even before pandemic that has been the case. And now on top of that, imagine the pandemic which restricts their talking to each other also. In the facilities they stop doing the group activities, the bingo, the movies, the gardening activities. They had to stop to isolate them. Now patients are sitting in a room all by themselves. Even the dinner and lunch is brought to them. They're watching at the TV, which is streaming constant negative news about COVID, and adding the fear that the elderly population can die from it much more easily than others. And that is anxiety provoking. And then the healthcare workers they are seeing, they're in PPE. Many times they cannot even see their faces properly with all these big masks on them, and they lack the human connection completely. Now, yes, there is this iPad and this video calls, but these are not technologically savvy individuals,
Hmm.
and they have to be dependent on facility staff to connect to their families. And staff has 120 patients to connect to their families, so they are short-handed. The staff is getting COVID. They are calling out sick. It was a nightmare, and no wonder we have seen tremendous and significant emotional negative consequences on our residents.
Yeah, I can't think of a more surefire recipe for profound exacerbation of mental illness than exactly what you've described. People get sick, they know they might die, and they can't even get to their family. And I'm surprised that there have not been more psychiatric disasters than there have been, but I know there have been a lot. So
Yes.
I'm interested in where you go from here. Are you going to make balanced well-being bigger and bigger? Or are you going to add other services? What's your long-term view?
So it has never been my intention to grow big and to have a big company and have the level of impact that I have now. I always wanted to do good work, and I always wanted to make difference in patient lives, but also in the lives of the community members. We wanted to create more jobs. We wanted to support the community, create a nice working environment. And our goal has been to just do better and better and excel with what we're doing. And the growth has just been a byproduct of that. I never had a goal of I'm going to double my company this year or we have to achieve this target. I never keep target. My target is, are we doing good work today? Are we excelling? Are we being creative? Are we offering better and better services? Are we offering more variety of services? Are we making difference in patient lives? So that has been my goal, and the growth has been just natural. But what I have realized that this system is working, the protocols are working, and so why not to help more residents? Why not to create more jobs? And so my inclination now is to let the natural growth happen more and more, not to create any obstacles in it. Because in past I was creating obstacle by saying no to the expansion, but now I stopped being an obstacle and let it grow naturally. I do feel that the formula is ready now, that these protocols, this algorithm, this structure can bring outcomes. Now it's a matter of just replicating the formula. So I do have vision of expanding this to other states also. I do have vision to continue to expand in Florida to form collaborations with other groups and continue that way. So I went into a collaboration recently. I look forward to doing more collaboration in future, particularly out of state, where we can continue to make bigger and bigger impact and continue to touch more and more lives.
It must be amazingly gratifying to be successful just by doing the right thing.
Yeah, it's just a byproduct of it. I never imagined in past that I would be part of this program that will be so highly well accepted. Today we have 60 employees within our company. We have around 45 employees abroad who are supporting our operations. As I said, about 450 patients we are seeing every day. And as long as we continue to receive the support from our communities, from our nursing home, and as long as the divine grace is there, we are continue to grow and grow.
Well, Pari, this is a really inspiring story, and I so much appreciate you sharing with us. We have arrived at the part of the program that gives the show its name, and that's when you get to give us some advice on how to be successful. So I'm going to step back and close my mic and give Dr. Pari Deshmukh a few minutes to give us his personal prescriptions for success.
So I'm going to share one more story for that, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So I did not describe the other important aspect of my life, and that is the integrative aspect, the holistic aspect, the spiritual aspect, the meditation aspect. So right from my childhood, I had an inclination towards meditation, towards expanding, refining the consciousness, getting connected to higher self, higher power. And when I was age 16, I wanted to get enrolled into a meditation system. And I was told that I was too young by that time, so I had to wait until I became 18. And I then joined a meditation system. It's called Heartfulness. And since then, I have been a lifelong meditator, and it has significantly and profoundly transformed my life and have given me the strength and the attitude that was necessary for me to persist throughout the ups and downs of the life, and the faith, the patience, the persistence, the positive attitude it has given me has really helped over the time. Because there are days when I feel like giving up, and there are days when I feel like discouraged and defeated. But then when I look at the bigger picture, I realize that no, it's not about me, it's about others. It's about making a difference. It's about making world a better place. And that has kept me going and going. So for me, I feel the prescription for success is creativity and compassion. If we have compassion towards other human beings, that will automatically make us keep going. It's not about just self, yes, enhancing our own lives and enhancing our own self is important, but what I feel gives real satisfaction and peace of mind and joy is the compassion piece here. And then the creativity keeps me always engaged with positive energy on what I can do and bring and what I can do for the world. So from me, the prescription for success is connection to our inner self or higher self, creativity, compassion.
Well, Dr. Pari Deshmukh, thank you very much for that wisdom. You clearly have brought a lot of wisdom with you to your work, and your patients are just unbelievably lucky to have you on their side. I'm sure you're making a huge difference in their lives. So thank you for that. Thank you for being here. Before we go, I want to give you an opportunity to tell our audience how they can follow you if you want to share email addresses or websites or Twitter handles or whatever you have. Please go ahead.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak about myself, my life, my company, my vision. Thank you very much. We have a website, and it's called Balanced Wellbeing LLC.com. It is also called as onlinepsychiatrycare.com because we are trying to expand the outreach of the psychiatric services. So we're trying to make the services online as much as possible. So onlinepsychiatrycare.com, balancedwellbeingllc.com. Our office number is 352-445-1200. And you can get hold of me by calling that number or going to our website, which has that number on it.
Well, once again, Dr. Pari Deshmukh, thank you so much for joining us on Prescription for Success. It has been a great pleasure.
Great pleasure. Thank you so much again. Have a great day.
Well, I do hope you enjoyed my conversation today with Dr. Pari Deshmukh. Before we go, I want to remind you to remember Dr. Doc lending that I mentioned at the top of the show. If you need quick and simple access to cash and you're looking for physician-preferred rates, be sure to reach out to Dr. Doc Lending at drpodcastnetwork.com/doc2doc. And that will do it for another episode of Prescription for Success. I hope you'll check out our website at rxforsuccesspodcast.com. We always look forward to your comments, and we hope that we earned a 5-star rating today. If you'd like to become a patron, just visit patreon.com/rxforsuccesspodcast. Thank you so very much for listening today, and don't forget to fill your prescription for success with my next episode.